A lot of the Americans who listen to the podcast get our accents confused. And
Ashley saw this tweet last night and she was like, what? It was like the middle of the night and she was barbarian.
Yeah. That's what Scottish people are, barbarians from the north. And I speak the Queen's English, and I'm being compared to a Scottish barbarian. What say you to this, Ashley? What say you to this?
It's ridiculous, but I'm honestly not surprised because when I first came to America, I couldn't tell the difference in accents between like America and Canada and stuff like that. But I'll say, like, I mean that's between like. That's
they're pretty similar accents.
That's not two people I've been listening to for a while, so I don't feel like there's a whole lot of an excuse for thinking.
Yeah, if somebody's listened to all 28 episodes of Low Society and is a patron getting the bonus episodes, they should be able to like understand who's Scottish and who's not Scottish here.
I think Scottish. My accent is a lot different from Angie's. Like even the O's, like cow. You don't say cow like that. You would say it completely different. Like it's just not the same.
Cow.
Yeah, Jake says cow like I say cow.
I say book.
I should just start
Cow.
start slipping in Doric words like.
Yeah, just throwing in the words no one fucking knows in the United States.
The area in Scotland I'm from has like a sub language that's kind of like scattered in English. So like, girl is quine, guy is loon.
Well, don't tell them how to speak it if you're gonna start using code.
I should just start like slipping in these little words like a free.
Just start tossing in the words and like when people are like, what does that mean? Just like figure it out.
Well, if you don't pronounce all of your words like me, then you're doing it wrong because it's the Oxford English Dictionary for a fucking reason. And yeah, we own that shit.
Oh,
so
shush you. Listen, yeah, I've changed my accent because another thing, because I complained and then bare people on the tweet were like, oh, you don't even sound like you're from England, Angie. You sound like an American. And
I've
like,
seen
listen,
comments on your videos say,
yeah,
like, are you American or British?
People ask me if I'm South African. They ask me if I'm fucking Australian. Like, it's bullshit. Like, it's because my accent has changed throughout my life because I've moved around a lot. And like when I was a kid, it was like proper East End Cockney because I grew up in the East End. So I used to talk like this. My dad's a chimney sweep. That's how I talked when I was. That's how I talked when I was little. Then I got sent to boarding school and then had to go to finishing school. So then I began to speak beautifully like this.
The received pronunciation.
Yes. And then I went to, and because it was like that. It was like My Fair Lady. They like made me say like the rain in Spain. Like literally. Like literally they made me.
Do you have a debutante ball?
No, fuck that shit.
Okay.
No, fuck that. No, I didn't go that far. But they put me in elocution lessons and etiquette lessons because I was like a black kid, and they were like, "Oh, you're a man. And I was from London.
We've got to civilize the blacks." You know.
Yeah, literally. And I'm from London, and I came to boarding school talking like this, and they didn't want me to be a bad influence on their children.
Oh, that won't do.
Yeah, literally. And especially because I used to say like in it instead of isn't it, and I used to like use a lot of London slang and shit, and like the parents literally signed a petition saying that I'm not joking. The parents legitimately signed a petition. God. For me to be sent to...
I'm
speechless.
Like, you talked a different way than my child, so I got on a change.org and told the school to fix it.
Literally. They said that. They said that they didn't want... Because it was during the time where the school was starting to accept black kids in from, like, London. And they were like, we don't want you to be... Because all the kids thought it was so cool that I was from London and shit. And they started using all this, like, London slang. And then they would go home to their parents and be like, oh, Mum, in it, and then their parents were like,
"No, none of that."
Yeah, literally. So all the parents like signed a petition for me to be sent to elocution lessons so that I would learn to speak, So I would love
all
to
of these
speak.
parents are literally fucking Mark from Peep Show. Every single one
Yeah,
of them
literally,
is like,
literally. They literally had me sent to elocution
It's
lessons.
not racism, Jeremy.
Like literally. And then I was traumatized early on about the way I spoke, and then was double traumatized when I moved to America, went to high school in America, and all the kids were like calling me a red coat. And like
red coat?
being like, yeah, like
where did you live in the
that was
United
thing.
States that people still even remember that?
Maryland slash DC.
never mind.
Which is where
Never
I went,
mind.
Yeah,
Say no
literally.
more. Say
which
no
is
more.
Which is where I went to school. I went to Bethesda Chevy Chase High School and was traumatized there because they were like, "Oh, you're from England. Do you guys drink tea? Do you guys like eat scones?" Like, but not in like a friendly, curious way. More like in a, "Oh, look at this weird freak" way. So then I decided that I would change my accent to a more American accent to blend in more. So it just sort of consciously stuck. Like I changed, and then I came back to England and got bullied because everyone was like, "Oh, you're American. You're the girl from America." And I was like, "No, I'm actually from here." And they're like, "Well, you don't sound anything like any of us."
You don't sound like you're from London, mate.
I was
Literally.
waiting till somebody was going to say that.
So I have a really big complex about the way that I speak, and it's a very sensitive issue. So to be compared to the guttural vulgarness of a Scottish person is even more of an insult to me than I am willing to bear.
No. They have layers.
But yeah,
I
for the
wonder if
record-
your school, if I had went there when I was a kid, if the parents had made a petition for me in my accent.
Oh yeah, probably.
To be honest, I think if you're probably you're only like a year older than us, so Shrek was popular at that time.
Oh, yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
I think that they would all try and
There's good
imitate you 'cause
representation.
They'd be like, "We want to sound like Shrek." Ashley sounds like Shrek. Let's try and copy all the
I
way
do
she
not
speaks.
sound
She has a much. I will say, Ashley has a
not
much
true.
softer Scottish accent
Yeah,
than the
there's, like,
average
you've got
one.
Yes, I'm just being mean. I'm just being mean.
There's
sound
different
like- I
kinds of
sound like-
Scottish.
I sound like Valley Girl Shrek.
Yeah. there's different kinds of Scottish. So there's like the more guttural kind of Scottish like this, and then there's like the posh Scottish, which is a little bit more, it's a little
Yeah.
softer, and then you have like the really breathy Scottish, which sounds a little bit more Scandinavian in the way that they
Yeah.
talk. It's like very breathy. Well, no, that's Welsh. I was
Yeah,
just doing
what the
well.
fuck are you
Sorry,
doing?
Welsh is Welsh is more.
It's kind of similar. I would say that Ewan McGregor has a slightly similar accent to mine, like the mild kind of. Although I'll say that there's certain things that I say where it comes out a lot stronger. But
Book.
Yeah.
book.
Yeah, people are very
Yeah.
like. People have commented
Loving the
on you
boot.
saying the word book publicly so many times.
Jake says some words Americans, and it's like very strange.
I
Like
do now,
he
like
doesn't
crap
say.
or garbage
He says like ass. He doesn't say ass. He says like ass when he's talking about us, and it sounds like
criticize. Because you criticized me when I said it the normal English way.
because it's not sexy in the English way. It's just like, oh, I'd like to grab your ass. Where it's like, I like to grab your ass. It's like, it's just better. Say it.
I'm not saying it.
Say it.
I'm not saying it.